What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we're talking Baitcaster reels. So today we're going to be talking about gear ratios with Baitcaster reels. This might be one that's very confusing to some people who are just getting into fishing a baitcaster. And I'll be honest with you guys, like when I started fishing with a baitcaster, I had no idea what the gear ratio meant. I just thought it was cool to fish a baitcaster, so I bought one and I just used whatever I had. So we're going to talk about what the gear ratio is, what it means, and how you guys can pair up the correct gear ratio to the lure that you're fishing or just the type of fishing you're doing in general. So with that being said, gear ratio. The gear ratio is a little number that you guys are going to see here on a baitcaster reel. It is typically 3 numbers, sometimes it's 2, but for the most part it will be a number, and then a 1. So to make it simple and easy for you guys, what this means is how many times the spool is spinning per crank. So the reel that I have here in front of me says 6 to 3 to 1. What this number means is for every 1 crank, that spool inside my reel is spinning 6.3 times. So again, that number is just going to tell you how many times that spool is spinning per crank. So now that you guys know what that number means, you just got to understand essentially what a slow reel is and what a fast reel is. Let's say we're on a scale out of 10. 10 being the fastest, 1 being the slowest. Anything like 5 and below is considered slower, and anything that's like 6 on up is considered intermediate to fast. So 6 is like a good intermediate, that's like right in the middle. A slower gear ratio is going to be great for baits with consistency, like a crankbait, a bait that you're casting out there and you're reeling it in and it's just having a consistent retrieve. That's when using a slow gear ratio is going to be great. So now let's talk like intermediate. Intermediate is what I would consider like a 6 to 3 to like a 7 to 1. Meaning for every 1 crank, that spool is spinning 6.5 or 7 times. I think this is the best all around intermediate ratio because it allows you to do a little bit of everything. So for those of you who want a baitcaster to primarily fish everything, this is going to be the gear ratio that you want. The reason being is because the ratio is fast enough to pick up line quick if you reel quickly, but if you just want to slow down, you can still get a good consistent retrieve. So that's the best way to put it. If you guys are just looking for a reel to do a little bit of everything, try to stick in that 6 to 3 to 7-1 gear ratio. Now moving up to high speed ratio reels. I consider a high speed ratio reel like 8 on up, or let's just say let's say 7 to 4 on up. So let's put this in perspective for you. Using a high speed gear ratio is going to benefit you anytime that you guys are fishing with slack. Let's say you're fishing a bass jig. So, you're casting a bass jig or you're flipping it around. A lot of times what happens is you flip that jig in there and you're picking your rod tip up and you're creating slack in that line. Sometimes when that bait's on the bottom, that bass will pick it up and they'll run with it. Oftentimes, when they run with it, you feel that when you lift your rod tip up. When you lift that rod tip up, you can't set the hook right there because you're not going to get any power. So often what you have to do is reel down and then set your hook. So having a fast gear ratio reel is going to allow you to pick up that line as fast as you can to get tension in your line so that you guys can set the hook. So that's like any time that I'm going to pick up a high speed gear ratio reel. Top water, soft plastics, things like that. Let's just recap this just so you guys can understand it a little bit easier because I know this can get kind of confusing. Slow gear ratio, slow consistent moving baits. Typically having no slack in your line. Medium gear ratio reel, all around, you're a person who wants to be able to do everything. It's just your go-to setup. High speed gear ratio, anytime you guys need to pick up line quick and get a hook set. So I hope this helped you guys understand gear ratios a little bit. And honestly, knowing this information really helps because having a specific gear ratio to pair with a specific type of fishing only helps you catch more fish. So Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about this topic, leave a comment down below. We'll try to get it answered for you. Other than that, do me a favor, smash that like button. If you guys are looking to learn more about bass fishing or see more videos from us, just hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.